on the air. President Kalfayan, we're ready to start the meeting.
Right. Welcome to the September 20th, 2021 meeting of the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. To help slow the transmission of COVID-19 and protect the health and safety of the community, City Council, as well as board and commission meetings, will continue to be closed to the public for in-person attendance. The public is encouraged to watch the participate from the safety of their homes to practice social distancing. Meetings and broadcast live on Glendale TV, viewable on Spectrum Cable, Channel 6, AT&T Uverse, Channel 99. Meetings are also streamed live in high definition on the city webpage, glendaleca.gov/live, on youtube.com/myglendale, and on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire devices using a free app called Screenwave and choosing Glendale TV from the menu. For public comments and questions during the meeting, call 818-937-8100. Public comments on a specific agenda item will be taken when that agenda item is discussed. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Meek,
Here.
Hotel,
Here.
Sardarbegian is absent, Wolfson,
Here.
and President Kalfayan.
Yes.
The agenda for the September 20, 2021 regular meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on or before September 17, 2021. Item 2, upcoming council agenda items.
Thank you, President Kalfai and members of the commission. We have one item coming up this month, September 21st, tomorrow. Life cycle analysis and triple bottom line analysis of artificial turf and natural turf. We'll be asking council to appropriate $45,000 to have our consultant, Citadel EHS, conduct an analysis, which will take within probably about 5 to 6 months. I do want to know, when the analysis is complete, we will bring the analysis to the Parks Commission, Sustainability Commission, and as well as to City Council for their approval. That's it.
Okay. Next.
Item 3, commission staff comments.
Okay, we'll start with Commissioner Wilferson. You had some comments.
So I have questions about agenda items, but no general comments. Thank you.
Okay. Patel?
No, not
No.
at this time. Thank you.
Okay. And Commissioner Meek?
No questions at this time.
Okay. So let's go to next item, please.
Next is 4, oral communications. We don't have any callers. Next is item 5, consent items. At A is approval of the minutes of the commission regular meeting held on August 16, 2021.
Okay. Do you have a question on this one, Ms. Wilferson?
Oh,
You-
no, I'll be in touch. It's on the action items. So.
Okay. So if we don't have any question on the approval of the minutes of the commission regular meeting, which was held August 16, may I have a motion to move it, please?
I so move.
Okay, do I have a second? We need a second to approve the minutes from the
I'll
last
second
time.
it.
Okay, second.
Okay, I'll take roll call. Commissioner Meek,
Aye. Yes.
Patel,
Yes.
Sardarbegian is absent, Wolfson.
Abstain since I was not at the meeting.
Right.
Thank you, and President Kalfayan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item.
Next is item 6, action items. At A is proposed fees for the Stoneborn Nature Center, Nature Camp, and Duke Major Wilderness Park picnic shelters. At one is a resolution establishing new fees for the Stoneborn Nature Center and Nature Camp, repealing an existing fee and establishing new fees for Wilderness Park picnic shelters, and recommending that the Glendale City Council incorporate into the comprehensive citywide fee schedule the changes made to the CSP department-wide fee schedule effective October 20th, 20.
Hi, hello, I'm Gabrielle Golia, the Senior Community Services Supervisor over the Recreation section, including the Trails and Open Space Program and the upcoming Stone Barn Nature Center. I am here today to present to you our proposed fees relating to the barn that is scheduled to be open towards the end of October. So I'm going to go ahead and share a PowerPoint with you. I am hopeful that you can all see my PowerPoint now. Okay. We're here to talk about the Stoneborn Nature Center, Nature Camp, and Duke-Majan Wilderness Park picnic shelters. The Stoneborn Nature Center is nearing completion with the work that we've been doing on the inside of it. We are here today to recommend that the commission approve a resolution to establish the new fees for the Stoneborn Nature Center. And we have an older fee related to one of the picnic shelters that we are asking that that fee is repealed. And we'd like to establish a new fee for both of the picnic shelters related to Duke-Majan Wilderness Park. The Stoneborn Nature Center design is shown here on your screen. We don't have a picture of the inside of it right now because it still is in the construction and installation phase. The banners have been hung up at this point in time. The last time I was up there, which was about 2 weeks ago, the stairs were being installed that drop down to the lower level. And I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, but the stairs are right here in this picture. You will enter the barn. The main entrance will be this west entrance right here coming in. The round half circle that is in the bottom center of the picture is the front counter. So that is a stationary front desk, welcoming desk for patrons as they come in. And it is generally a self-guided tour through our nature center. There are interactive displays. Each of the banners that are hanging up in the upper parts, these colorful banners, you can see the wildlife coyote is kind of the most prominent in this picture. So each of these banners is a designated area within the barn that has information and topics that relate to that banner. So the idea is that our guests will work their way through the stone barn with these banners on their own basic self-guided tours, and we will have some tours available with some recreation components as well. As I said earlier, the anticipated completion is in October 2021. We do plan to operate this as an educational establishment that provides an opportunity for youth and adults to learn about the wildlife and habitats in Glendale's backyard. The exhibits at the Nature Center were all designed and built to be mobile so that they can be moved to open space for rentals. So many of these pieces will actually break apart or fold, and we can scoot them up against the north wall in order to open up this main space to allow it to be rented. The idea would be that we can rent out the main space for private events such as lectures, weddings, and birthdays if people so desire. We are looking into plans for how to put up pipe and drape if we need to hide any of the exhibits for like a wedding, for instance, and moving things that are more delicate into secure locations so that we don't have guests of the events touching things that shouldn't be touched. The City Council approved the budget for the operation of the barn at the August 24th meeting. They allocated $227,990 in Measure S funds. Actually, $212,990 is out of Measure S, and $15,000 is from a donation from the Glendale Parks and Open Space Foundation. And the GPOSF money is to take over programs that were run by Take a Hike. The remaining is out of Measure S in order to operate the barn and the programs that go along with it. And in addition, we have 39,000 for the Trails and Open Space program that was allocated as part of the 21-22 budget. And those programs will be moved to operate under the Stone Barn. So the total operating budget for the barn and the Trails and Open Space program will be $266,990. Included in that budget is some revenue. We're anticipating approximately $159,940. This is projected to come from facility rentals, tours, and camp registrations. There's also some projected revenue within there for some point of sale items that are in our gift shop. And if you can see the screen in the very bottom, there's a brown shelf. That's going to be our gift shop area. So purchasing items for the gift shop and some target revenue is included in both the expenditure and the revenue budgets. We don't really know what those sale prices will be because they will be set by how much it costs us to purchase the items for the gift shop, with a slight markup to cover administrative costs, tax, and shipping. The programming components that we have scheduled for the barn, we have regular general operating hours. We're looking at operating Friday afternoons to early evening and then all day on the weekends. We have some building rentals built into our programming operations and private tours. In addition, we have some school field trips planned. We're planning on working with the Glendale Unified School District and other schools in the area to invite them up for school field trips. We'll have our Adopt a Trail program, a new Adopt a Trail program, and we're planning on expanding the GO program, which right now is a program operated with the One Glendale program. And we're looking to expand that into a monthly program where we provide transportation from South Glendale to bring children and families up to North Glendale, up to the Nature Center to experience the programming up there. We also have budgeted a specialty camp for 4 weeks of operation in the summer. And the $15,000 donation from the GPOSF program, we are expanding the Trails and Open Space program. So these are programs that Take a Hike had previously funded. And now we'll be shifting and taking those programs on and continuing the programs. And instead of the money coming from Take a Hike, GPOSF will be funding it. And those include Riverwalk Workdays, the GO program for that expanded GO program for One Glendale Sports program. So not the expansion, but the original GO program. Campfire programs, interpretive hikes, the Perseid Meteor Shower program, and we have an existing river program with Franklin Elementary School. And then our current programs that are operated under the Trails and Open Space, and we will continue to operate them just now under the barn, will be Wilderness Workdays at Dugmagian and Brand, maintenance of the experimental forest, Friday night lectures, the Holiday at the Stone Barn event, Trail Safety Patrol, and the support of all of our other Trails and Open Space events. So the proposed fees that we are looking at that are new fees, we do anticipate that people will want to rent the Nature Center for some private events. So the proposed fees for the rental of the center represent the cost for customers to rent the full center for their private event. Additional fees could be assessed depending on the scope of the event, but those would already be fees that are approved in the citywide fee schedule, such as staffing, tables and chairs, and other incidentals. We are looking at a standard rate of $200 per hour for a private rental. A nonprofit organization would get the standard 25% discount, so it would be $150. A commercial rate is the 150% of the regular fee, so it's a $300 rental per hour. We are looking at a $2,000 deposit for events with alcohol. The purpose for a higher deposit on events with alcohol is because of the potential damage to the displays. We've got some mounted animals in there that we're concerned about. And whenever you add alcohol to an event, there is a higher risk of damage. Events without alcohol would be $1,000 deposit. Both of those are refundable as long as the customers leave the building and all of the displays in the way that they were when they arrived. We have a proposed fee of $250 for a private tour. And we're establishing that as up to 30 guests for a 4-hour program. And this is inclusive of a recreational component where we have staff coming in. And then finally is our nature camp registration fee. We're proposing this to be a $275 fee per week. And we looked at establishing this based on both research from other nature camps in the area, as well as what our other specialty camps, such as the skate park camps, are set at. So we kind of tried to find a middle ground between those. When we evaluated other nature and outdoor camps, we saw fees anywhere from $450 to $650 per week. Most of those camps are located in the mountains around Malibu and Santa Monica and Bel Air. We felt that those rates were a little bit excessive for our area. So we're proposing a similar fee to the Groms skate camp, a little bit higher than that. It's kind of between the Groms and the Shredders. Groms is $225 a week and Shredders is $325. So we're proposing right in the middle of that to start this off at $275 per week. It'll run 4 weeks during the summer, during the Glendale Unified School District break. We'll include activities inside the Nature Center, as well as hikes on the trails, swimming trips to Pacific Community Pool. It'll be a camp run from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., just like the rest of our camps, and we will include options for before and after care for parents who need that additional care time from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. As a specialty camp, we don't typically have resident or non-resident fees. The skate camps also don't have those fees. So we're not proposing any non-resident fees associated with it at this time. So also part of our proposal is to clean up the fees that are already in existence with Duke-Majan Wilderness Park. We currently have a fee established for Picnic Area 1 and the amphitheater. We want to change the name of the existing fee for Picnic Area 1 to be the lower picnic shelter and establish a new fee for the upper picnic shelter. We want to keep them both at $40 per hour, which is the same amount that was already approved for the lower picnic shelter. We're just finding a lot of interest in both of the picnic shelters, so we do want to make both available for rentals. We will not limit the number of rentals permitted per month at Duke-Majan. So this will allow us to rent either or both of the picnic shelters and anytime on the weekends, just like we do all of our other shelters in the city. That is the conclusion of my prepared PowerPoint, and I'm happy to answer any questions concerning the fees that you might have.
Okay. I think Commissioner Wilkinson, you're ready to make your comments now, right?
Yeah, initially I had the question of how you were setting these rates, but you did explain a great deal of that I either didn't see in the staff report, or maybe you amplified on it in a way, made it more clear. So I understand that all now. So thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Okay, it looks like we did a good job, the staff. Now we go to Commissioner Patel.
Thank you for this presentation today. I did get a chance last year to tour the facility, and even without all of the perks in which you've described, it was absolutely beautiful. Just a gorgeous setting, a gorgeous structure, and such a fabulous idea. I want to say how inspired I am and excited to see the shared use of this space. Any way in which we can open up our parks and make them more accessible to a wider community, I just think is exactly where we need to be thinking. And I really love that this space will be open to families and educational for young kids. And then there's a way to create revenue for the city and have an event space, a really creative and beautiful rustic space for the community to be able fun events, which I hope will be well used soon and will be on the other side of this pandemic. So I just want to congratulate you all for partaking in this, the vision behind it, and the follow through, which I know it's taken quite a while to move it along because of all the different facets. I do have a question about the camp, which I think is fantastic. I'm very excited about any ways in which we can find more activities for kids in the summer, especially educational ones that deal with nature. Is there any plans to provide financial aid for certain families?
President Kalfayan and members of the commission, Commissioner Potel, we, at this current time, we do have a scholarship program available for our parks, for our camp programs. So we can expand that existing program to cover this. We can certainly look into expansion. That program right now does provide there's two different options for it. It's both a full scholarship for families who need it for childcare purposes and also a discount for families who don't necessarily qualify for this full scholarship, but still also need some financial assistance. Traditionally, we haven't offered that program for the specialty camps because they are not necessarily designed as basic childcare programs. But we do also understand that this one, because of the nature theme to it and the access that it provides for children. So it is something that we certainly can look into expanding that existing program to cover this.
That's just fantastic. That's great. Just finding ways to make every area of the community find access to this wonderful facility, I think is the way to go. And then the other question I had, did you mention something about transportation from South Glendale to North Glendale for some folks? Could you review that again?
Certainly. President Kalfayan and Commissioner Patel, we are looking at doing an expanded GO program. So our traditional GO program is a program where we provide bus transportation from the elementary schools, the 8 elementary schools that are part of our One Glendale program in Southern Glendale, up to Duke Majan or the Glendale Sports Complex trails for a program. So part of this new funding has identified a completely free program where we will do it once per month. Perhaps the first Saturday of every month is what we're proposing at this point. We need to flesh out the details a little bit more. But the budget does include 12 months of free programming where we bring bus children from the Southern Glendale, probably Pacific or Maple Park will be our central meeting location for those, and bring them up to the Nature Center to provide a few hours of programming on that monthly basis.
And forgive me, this would be through like a field trip through their elementary school, is that correct?
So this particular program, we haven't figured out exactly how we'll advertise it, but the expansion of it won't necessarily be through the Glendale Unified School District, although we can certainly advertise it through the school district. But it will be a program that stands on its own as part of the Nature Center programming. And we didn't really go into it too much, and I apologize because there's no fee associated with it. So that is a free program that we've already built into the budget that the council approved on August 24th.
President Kalfayan,
Sorry,
Commissioner
blower behind me, but I just wanted to say I think that's a really terrific plan. I'd love to learn more about that as it comes together. Kids learn about love for nature, I think, at a young age. So to be able to provide these opportunities for kids at their schools, or whether it be through GUSD or an access point and the busing. There are a lot of people here in South Glendale that don't necessarily have vehicles, that rely on public transportation. And so this is a I see this as a great opportunity for them to be able to still be able to access these facilities. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a question about, do we have a center that assistance people, the families that need assistance in any program, our program, they can go and ask for assistance. Do we have anything like that?
President Kalfayan, members of the commission, all of our community centers are open to the public and staff is available to provide information and resources. So whether it's seniors or the youth, our centers are always open and could be accessed. There is no one place that they could go to, but all of our centers and even our administration office, if they were to call us, we would be able to refer them to the programs that we offer or refer them to the nonprofits that might offer programs within our community that they might not be familiar with. So in order not to provide all the phone numbers to all the centers, but if they call 818-548-2000, our administration office should be able to direct their call to the right center or to the right staff person to provide more information about the needs that they have. Whether it be seniors or youth or just families in general.
This is for financial assistance, right?
Not necessarily for financial assistance. I was thinking more of the programs that we offer. As far as financial assistance, the only thing that, if you're referring to the camps for the scholarship programs, that is specific to the camps that we offer. But generally, the city does not give out financial assistance in that manner, depending on the program. Like we have, housing programs, or we have, CDBG that provides assistance, financial assistance. So it really just depends on what type of assistance they need, but we don't really necessarily have financial assistance that we provide as a city. It's mostly through the programs that we might offer or the nonprofits that offer. So it depends on the needs that they have.
Okay, hopefully we can help them. I think the Commissioner Sardabakian joined us.
Yes, President Kalfai and members of the commission, the record will show that Commissioner Sardarbegian joined the meeting at 3 p.m.
Yes, I was thankfully able to make it.
Welcome. Do you have any questions, or you're not in it yet? About the barn and the nature barn, all those?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Oh, no, I don't have any questions yet.
Okay, we'll go to Commissioner Mick. He's anxious to get
I
in.
have a question about the picnic shelters and the hourly fee. Do you intend to put a sign or something up? Because a number of people go hiking there and then stop at the shelters after their hike to use it. I want a notification that it's going to be rented out at a certain time.
President Kalfayan and Commissioner Meek, we do have some signage that goes up in our reserved picnic areas, and I believe the lower picnic shelter already has a sign at it that says that it may be reserved for reservations. We will also make sure that the upper picnic shelter, once it's approved, and if it's approved, also has the same signage. We typically reserve each one of our shelters only one time per day. And then we send a caretaker out to help inform people, and we do put up signage ahead of time to let people know that there is a reservation coming. So we do our best to inform people. Sometimes those the day before signs get torn down. It does happen, but we do our best. And then we will have that caretaker who checks the customer in at the beginning of their rental, so they can help with informing anyone who might be there before the actual renter shows up that, unfortunately there is a rental coming. So we will need you to move along. And we do have the picnic tables in the meadow area also still available. So those are first come, first serve. So if we had a situation where there were people sitting in the shelter and we did need to ask them to move along, we could point them towards additional tables that are not reservable and are just available to the general public to still be able to enjoy their afternoon or their meal in the park.
Okay, thank you. I also think that nature camp is a wonderful idea. Jane, thank you for mentioning it. Getting kids out there into nature is a fantastic thing, and I encourage it for everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You didn't touch the capacity of the building, the barn that we will be opening. Do you have any idea what's the capacity, that how many guests we can take in?
President Kalfayan, members of the commission, I actually don't know the exact capacity at this time. We will have to wait until the exhibits are up, and we'll probably have two different capacities for it. One will be for general use and tours of the facility, and that will depend on the available square footage while leaving all of the fire exits open when the exhibits are in place. And then a secondary capacity would be when the exhibits are pushed to the side and we're able to set up the tables and chairs, what our rental capacity for the number of guests will be. And we have a plan that once those exhibits are in place and we're able to actually move them to the side and set up some tables, we'll have to check and see what that actually looks like so that we can advertise it accurately. That way, when people are interested in renting, we can be very clear that our capacity for round tables for a banquet style rental is this number. And both of those may vary as we continue in the pandemic. They might be a little bit lower at this point in time. And then once the pandemic restrictions on events are lifted, we may be able to increase them a little bit at that time. So we're still trying to figure out exactly what those numbers look like for when the building is open.
Thank you. Very nice presentation. Thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you.
Now we need to move this resolution for establishing new fees for the Stoneborn Nature Center and the Nature Camp.
I will move that we approve this fee schedule. Is that language good enough?
We have to ask Ms. Alexander. Is that good enough to move it?
President Kalfayan, yeah, I think that's good enough that a motion has been moved to approve the fees as proposed by staff.
Okay, can I have a second, please?
I second.
Okay. Iris?
Yes, I'll take roll call. Commissioners Meek,
Yes, I approve.
Patel. Thank you. Patel,
Yes.
Sardarbegian,
I approve. Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
and President Kalfayan.
Yes.
A motion carries. Next is item 6B, update on Verdugo Park North renovation project. That one is a motion recommending that City Council approve design changes to the existing playground area at Verdugo Park North, converting it into a passive meditation maze.
Yes, good afternoon, President Kalfayan, members of Commission, Coco Planosian, and Iris. I will need your help in presenting from your end, please, if the PowerPoint's ready to go. We wanted to share with Commission what has been going on with the Verdugo Park project. You may recall we started this master planning back in 2016, and we've had a number of iterations and a number of changes to the design based on public input, council input, and we wanted to bring Commission up to date and ask for your feedback, actually more your approval to proceed to council with the updated changes to the design. So a little bit of history as far as the background goes. Back in March of 2016, our department presented the DIF strategic plan to City Council. One of the items within that strategic plan was the master planning of the Verdugo Park North project. And the City Council, after reviewing it, they approved the project, as well as during the fiscal year 16-17 budget cycle, they also approved the replacement of the playground with an all-inclusive playground. And this was also the DIF funded project at $825,000. In January, following all the approvals and the budget adoption, we contracted David Vol's Design, DVD, and we issued them a professional services agreement to start with the master planning. In June 17, 2017, we held a public meeting at Verdugo Park. This was a weekend meeting to have the community just walk the park and identify what they felt is most ideal for that park. And please keep in mind, this entire process is for the northern portion of Verdugo Park. And you know, Verdugo Park there's a road that splits them into two. and we're focusing on the north. During that time, we also informed the public that they have additional month and a half to provide within our website. We had a website and a link that they could provide additional input if they wanted to, if they couldn't make that meeting. In March 2018, we held a community meeting at the Glendale Civic Auditorium. This was an evening event during the week so that the individuals who are unable to make it can come to this meeting and provide feedback. But at this time, along with working with DVD, we already put together some concept plans for the community to review and give feedback. We presented the concept plans at this meeting, received community's input, and while we're doing that, still allowed members of the community who cannot attend up to April 6th, another month, to provide input on the website via surveys and also send in the cards. Next slide, please, Iris. Continuing on, the month after that, we came to the Parks Commission. April 16, 2018, we presented the plans, and Commission had some items they liked a lot, and others they had feedback to council to revise the plan process. The following month, we went to City Council, incorporated all of the public's input, all of the Commission's input, and the City Council at that time moved forward with the following recommendations on the design. It included the all-inclusive playground, replace the existing restroom and patio area with a new restroom / community room. And the maximum size on that was to be within the same infrastructure as it currently sits, roughly about 1,500 to 1,800 square feet. They wanted us to replace the community garden, want to make sure there is adequate ADA parking as it relates to the changes we're making and the required ADA parking in the area. Wanted to make sure we preserve the existing road. This was one of the items that Commission and the public didn't want to get rid of. If you're familiar with Verdugo Park, there is a road that dissects the park and going up to Kalina Drive. And a lot of people use that road to bicycle in. Some people use it to get access to Kalina. And with all the input, council decided that that road should be preserved and not removed, as well as they directed us to replace picnic tables and add barbecues and ash receptacles as necessary to the park. Part of this design, our effort has always been to protect existing trees. The design at the time would have impacted a couple of trees. So we went back to the drawing board, specifically with the play area, because we were expanding the play area. We updated the play area design to avoid impacting trees in the area. And those are a lot of mature trees, sycamores, oaks, and a variety of other trees as well. So DVD, David Volts, they issued a request for revising the playground equipment design. We invited up to 6 manufacturers to submit designs, 3 of which submitted 3 designs each. So we allowed for a number of designs for each manufacturer. As staff took those designs submitted, narrowed down to the top 3 that to present to council. The next slide, please. And on December 8th, we did take the item to City Council. And while City Council did not take any official action on the item, they did suggest the following. Council suggested we proceed with replacing the existing restroom and the community garden. The restroom, of course, community room restroom, and the community garden that needed to be renovated. Council at the time directed not to have any the inclusive playground as part of the process, and it seemed there was council consensus to reserve the northern half of Verdugo Park for passive recreation only. Verdugo Park is 38 acres, so with the split that we have, a lot of the active recreation within the park is in the southernmost portion of the park. We have the skate park, basketball course, we have the playground, we have the picnic shelters. Obviously, we have the Stengel Field that is used by GUSD as well as GCC. And even though the current playground in the northern section is used by day camp and picnickers, council wanted to keep the north more of a passive park. So since then, staff response, we've shown to commission the last couple of months the changes we made to the community garden. Our team had self-performed the reconstruction. By way of that, we were able to reduce the garden size by 7,500 square feet, which will be turned into turf, and it's going to add to the open space to the park. And we increased the planters from 32 to 50, thereby allowing 18 additional individuals, which we haven't assigned yet. I know we'll get those questions. It will in the near future. We'll allow 18 individuals in addition to what we had to be able to have a planter and within the community garden. So at that point, we stopped the work on playground design and working with DVD. We prepared the attached meditation garden, which we'll show you shortly. And last week, we also emailed all the participants that came to the outreach to let them know that we are having a meeting today with the commission and that there'll be some changes to the plans that were proposed back in the day. And if they have any questions or comment, they can reach out to commission and express their opinion. Next, please, Iris. So here is what the design is going to be. Now, this is going to take place at the existing playground's location. So there is a path that leads to the meditation maze. It is roughly about 2,800 square feet in size. It's going to be based with the decomposed granite. We're trying to keep as natural of a look and feel as we can in the area. It's going to have cobble borders, and we'll have some boulders around the perimeter, grouping of them. We'll have some natural grass access planting. We're going to have some trees, some flowering trees. The center is going to have some benches and a specimen tree, and overall changes that area to more of a passive recreation, allowing for individuals who wish to partake in this maze to come in and walk through it and have more of a serene, peaceful setting. Next slide, please. The next slide actually takes what we showed you in the previous slide and kind of lays it out more within the plan. As you can see, the larger circles are where the trees are going to be. You can see the planting around the perimeter on the left side of your screen, left side of the maze on your screen, as well as on the beginning of the right side of the screen. For the maze, with some planting. Next slide, please. The overall project budget for this project was comprised of DIF development impact fees as well as CIP capital improvement project fees. Altogether is $3.8 million. As you know, for the Verdugo Park North funding was $2 million in DIF and $1 million in CIP that was budgeted for a total of $3 million. And in addition to that, as you notice, originally the concept was Shane's Inspiration Playground, all-inclusive playground funding. It was a DIF funded separately at $825,000. Now, of those, we have spent some money through the master planning process and the expenses that we've incurred. For DIF funds under the Verdugo Park North, we still have $1.8 million left. And for the CIP, there's $677,000 left, for a total of $2.5 million. Now, given that the playground is not currently in the proposed process of plans, the balance of $807,000 of DIF fees under that category will go back to the DIF fund balance to be reallocated to any other project the city council deems necessary in the future. Next slide, please, Iris. So what do we have as next steps? Upon the recommendation from commission, depending on what you decide to do today, we will take an item to city council for city council's approval of the updated designs. And at that point, we will start working on the construction documents and the specifications to be able to bring those back to council for adoption and approval to go out to bid, advertise for bidding, and of course, the normal bidding process. And once everything is ready to go, we will return to council, get it awarded, a contract award, and we'll start the construction. We do not at this time have a timetable for this. As soon as we have a better idea as to how this thing's going to play out, we'll have a timeline, we'll share it with commission. That is the end of the presentation. If the commission has any questions, I'd be happy to address them for us.
Okay, thank you for extensive presentation, Mr. Panosian. Commissioner Wilkerson, you might have a question.
Hi, thank you. And thank you so much, Coco, for that great presentation. And I just had one question, and I'm really sorry because you may have explained this or I may have forgotten something, and I apologize if I did. I sort of forgot like the history of how the Shane's Inspiration Playground, was it because there wasn't enough room and we were going to sacrifice trees to have that there if we went ahead with that?
That is a very good question, Commissioner Wolfson. That was part of it initially. We did have a very expanded design for the playground. And for Shane's Inspiration, and if you recall the designs, I don't have them right now. The original designs we looked at expanded the playground to at least almost twice its current size. And it had, different locations. It had areas where it was a little lower than the average height. because of the steep terrain that we have over there. And once we looked at it all and tried to preserve trees, modify the size, it became a little less interesting to make it more of a shade inspiration, because if you reduce it, some of those abilities to have the ADA level play equipment that Shane's would like to see didn't really quite fit within the new concept plan. So, and as we moved forward, even though they were involved in that process, helping us out at the end, the three designs that we were going to present to council at the time did not include a Shane's inspiration.
Okay, that explains that. I had a vague recollection that it was a space issue. And we do have the Shane's Inspiration playground at Maple, so that's
Yes.
a good thing.
Commissioner, so you're correct. We do have it at Maple Park.
Which is actually more central in a way to the whole city. It's more accessible for folks in South Glendale and adjacent areas. Then my next question concerning this is just like, so now we're throwing in the towel altogether on the playground. I just want to make sure, has there been any blowback from the community about, I mean, have you heard anything from people? I mean, I'm glad if we keep the park more passive, that northern half, because we're only talking about the northern half of this park, and the southern half. And pardon the noise, but my neighbor's gardeners come right when our commission meets. So I hope you can hear me. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you don't hear background noise? That's annoying. Okay. So I'm really glad we're keeping that northern half of Verdugo Park passive, because it's a beautiful open space and our community needs a lot of open space. And I like the idea of the meditation area very, very much. But then I'm an adult, an older adult, and so that sort of thing appeals to me. And I don't want to shortchange our community's kids and younger people. So I guess my question, which is sort of roundabout, is just I want to make sure that we're not depriving the kids of a place, you know, where they won't have, you know, has there been any feedback from the community at all?
President Kalfayan, Commissioner Wolfson, this is the first that we're presenting this concept. So the last meeting in December of 2020 was it, the date now just skips my mind, December 8, 2020, when council directed us to not proceed with the playground. Since then, we've been at the drawing board trying to figure out how best to approach this. And this meeting is the first that the public is being made aware of not having a playground in the northern section of Verdugo Park and the changes to the design as a meditation maze. Now, obviously, this will go to council as well, and the public will have an opportunity to speak for or against the changes we're proposing. But this is first, we want to get commission's feedback as to what you feel is best for that area, so we can incorporate your comments to the report to council.
Can I ask you another question then in this regard, just to
Sure.
for clarity? There's not a playground per se in the southern part of the park. Is that correct? Or is there a playground that I'm not aware of?
Commissioner Wilson, there is a playground in the southern portion of the park, adjacent to the picnic shelters and just north of the basketball courts. There is a playground. So
Okay.
Verdugo Park, given that it's a 38-acre park, had two playgrounds so that the northern playground will accommodate people picnicking in the north, and then the southern portion of the playground accommodates people picnicking in the south. It's not uncommon for us to have two playgrounds, and larger parks tend to usually have two playgrounds to, again, accommodate people using different segments of the park.
Mhm.
And there is currently a playground in the southern portion of the park, just south of the softball field.
Okay, so that's one option for people that's relative, you know, and then of course the other thing is there are other parks that are not too far from there. I'm thinking of my own neighborhood park, Nibley has a beautiful playground that's really fairly new, that's very popular. So I just thought I would throw that in there in case people are watching and are concerned about this. So anyhow, thank you for answering my question.
Sure.
Commissioner Wilkerson, I'm I share with you what your concern, and we were together when this project came in, and they were yes and no's at that time. And I don't know if we did any research for the community in that area, if they have enough playgrounds for the kids, which is our main concern at this time, to kids have safe and efficient and nice place to play. So I don't know if we did that to take an action accordingly.
President Kalfaya and Commissioner Wolfson, so as far as the park within the area, you're correct. We have Nibley Park that is close to that vicinity. We have Glorieta Park just north of it that has a decent sized playground. We have Montrose Park a little further up north. So within the area, there are other parks that have playgrounds. But your concerns and comments are well taken, and we'll note it in our report to council that, you know, Verdugo Park did have 2 playgrounds. Now there's going to be just 1. We'll include that in the report for council's consideration as we move forward.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Patel?
Yes. Thank you for this report. I love Verdugo Park. It is a lovely, lovely space. The trees are amazing in that park. There's also so much open space. And the fact that it's very elongated gives you a feeling that you can travel through the park and still feel like, you know, you've been in very open nature, which you don't necessarily get that feeling in so many of our other parks that are smaller. I do think it is important to preserve the open space feeling at that park because we have so little of it within the city. So I do appreciate the vision that you're presenting today. I do have a young child, and we have spent a lot of time in that park. And we have spent time in both playgrounds, and he enjoys it very much. But he also very much enjoys the open space. So I do understand your desire to provide activities for kids that are focused on the playground, but also still provide that meditative feeling that with nature that people can have and can commune with, and particularly in that park. It's hard for me to speak to the plans themselves for the playground since I don't see any in the actual report. I know you've talked about it, but I'm a very visual person. So if I understand that you're eliminating one of the playground areas for one, i.e. there were 2, now you're looking to only develop 1. If I'm remembering correctly, one of the park spaces is for smaller children. And then, I'm sorry, one of the playground areas is for smaller children. And then the other playground areas focused for bigger kids. Am I remembering that correctly?
President Kalfaya and Commissioner Patel, generally speaking, yes, you are correct. When we do develop a design a new playground area, within the boundaries of that playground, we look at accommodating children 2 to 5, which is, you know, the younger group, and then also 5 to 12, which is more the preschool age and then elementary school age kids. So it does, the southern portion of the park has the playground that has both. It has equipment for both age groups. The one up northern segment of Verdugo also had the opportunity to have both. The reason why we had 2 full playgrounds at that park, given the sheer size of the park, because of, you know, northern park and the southern, there is, you know, a couple of acres between the 2 playgrounds that you have to get to. Hence, we had the 2. But you're right. Generally speaking, when we design the facilities, you will notice, well, just like the ones we presented a few months back, Pelican Coney, Glen Oaks, they will both have a 2 to 5-year-old play structures as well as 5 to 12, so that kids of all ages and abilities are able to play. So your thinking process is correct.
Okay, so forgive me. This is just how I'm remembering it. My child, when he was younger, preferred one of those playground areas over the other one. And now that he's bigger, he prefers the one in the southern lot. And so maybe I'm just not remembering correctly that the southern lot also has items for the smaller children to play with. But that being said, when we would go with other families, sometimes there would be a divide where the older kids didn't want to necessarily play in the smaller park area or what felt like the smaller park area. So having a playground that is all inclusive in one area actually is really helpful for families that have multiple children and want to be able to enjoy, you know, a mom can't be in two places at once is basically what I'm saying. So I'm not necessarily opposed to having the playground facilities in one spot in the park in order to facilitate more open space in the other portion of the park. Yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to say. I'm excited that the vision is to keep a lot of the open space, which I really think is vital for Glendale, but specifically that park, since we don't have so many parks that are like Verdugo Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Patel. Commissioner Sarabekyan?
No, I mean, I've just kind of been reviewing the docs that were supplied. I think I really like the little project for the mediation that's
Spoken like
meditation garden. You guys see how busy I was today, but the meditation garden, I think that's going to be an amazing look once it's done and over with. And I grew up, closer to Fremont Park, but I used to frequent Verdugo Park, so it'll be a really nice final outcome when it's done. And so I have no questions.
Okay. Commissioner Mick?
Yes, thank you. I think Verdugo Park is like one of our crown jewels of Glendale, so it's a terrific park. I attended some of the community meetings for that park and saw most of the attendees really wanted to keep that northern end open space and passive. I did have a question on when you're replacing some picnic tables and things. When I go up there to picnic, oftentimes, unless you're really early, you don't get a picnic table. Are you planning to put in any extra tables, picnic tables, with or without the barbecues?
So, Commissioner President Kalfaya and Commissioner Meek, as part of this process, we'll be replacing all of the picnic tables that are there. And there are some, if you visited recently, that have the pads there, but the picnic tables had, deteriorated. We've removed them. So we have picnic pads for us to be able to place additional picnic tables. So we will increase the number of picnic tables within the park. Yes, if that's the question. We'll be adding additional picnic tables on the current number that they have right now. And, those picnic tables have been in line for replacement for quite some time. We've been trying to buy us a little time to finalize the master plan so that we don't start plotting picnic tables in places that, likely may have to move again. So this would be the time as we finalize these designs, we'll start the picnic table replacement process, sooner than later. So we will be replacing as well as adding additional picnic tables to the area. And within this area, look for a couple of picnic tables that may be more ADA accessible picnic tables. So because it's going to have a couple of ADA parking spots, it's going to have a path to it. We'll be able to add those in that area.
Okay. One last question. In the meditation space in the center, you said there were going to be some benches, I believe, or sitting area. Have you thought about making that into art? A sitting place that is actually attractive art?
The exceptional question, Commissioner Meek. As we were reviewing the original concept with DVD between Mr. Bolonicky and Peter Verheilig, project manager, we actually looked at making that center of the maze somewhat of a destination and incorporate some art. It's not, it's still not too late to incorporate that. Some of the designs we're going to have as far as the grouping of the rocks or stones, even the benches in that area, we still have the opportunity to incorporate some artwork within. I mean, we actually went from an central art piece to maybe a tree Like right now, the discussion is to incorporate a tree in the center, but that is still, if it is a recommendation, we can still incorporate that in the design. It's obviously, this is what we're here for, to hear from you. And we can also look at incorporating some art within the current proposed design, the bench that we have, so that we will continue to have seating area, a tree to, provide some shade and, kind of lighten the area, liven the area, as well as some, art pieces around the perimeter, if nothing else. So opportunity for art still exists in this process. Yes.
Great. Thank you for keeping that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it seems like to me what I'm hearing or what I know, Verdugo Park is one of the largest parks we have in Glendale, and it's nicely located in the wilderness, in the center, and so on. And I would like myself to share it with everyone, any age, from the older to the younger people, because we all in one community, whatever the kids need, whatever the adults need, we have to do the best for them. So when we're moving this recommendation, let's consider all of them uh, to be fair to all ages. That's my approach to this. You want to say something? Go ahead, please.
Thank you. You made me think of two other questions that I wanted to ask. And I totally agree with you. The more we can make this accessible to all communities and all ages, I absolutely agree with you. How many acres will still be preserved of open space outside of the playground area and the meditation garden?
Commissioner Patel, we're actually preserving pretty much the entire open space that you have right there currently. It will still remain open space. Given that we, took away the expanded playground design, which would have incorporated into open space, given that we reduced the size of the Verdugo community garden and actually added more open space to the park, we're increasing the actual open space to the park. And the current playground is roughly about 6,000 square feet, 6,800 square feet, let's just say. And we're taking that and reducing it to more of a 2,800 square foot maze. We're actually effectively adding open space to the park if this design is, adopted and approved. The community, the restroom and community room that we've been talking about will replace the existing one as is. It has currently the restroom and some of the storage rooms within there, as well as that little patio area that is hardscape concrete. So the plan was to design and build the new community room restroom within that footprint, so we're not encroaching on any of the open space. So essentially, we're preserving, if not increasing, open space by this approach.
Got it. That I wasn't quite sure. I realized after I'd finished my questions that I was clear on that. That's great. One last question. Are we taking down any of these gorgeous trees?
Commissioner Patel, the current designs, all of the designs we looked at, I believe, might impact 2 trees. Now, this list went from about 18 plus trees that may be severely impacted down to 2. And I'm waiting for a confirmation from the project manager as to the final, but it is designed so it significant limits impacts to trees in the area. So we're not, especially with the meditation maze, it's not going to impact any trees. It's designed to alleviate any stress or pressure on existing trees. And on top of that, we're actually adding additional trees so that we can have the accent color and or flowering trees in the mix. So if any trees are removed for any part of this entire process, the project, they will be replaced. And whether it's within the vicinity, whether in the open space where the current groves of trees are, but the limit is he's still typing and waiting for that answer. It is a very limited number. Might be 1 or 2 trees that might be impacted, which we plan on replacing within the area.
Well, I'll just say I'll encourage to keep as many trees as possible, even if it's 1 or 2, if there's any way, because those trees in Verdugo Park are so large, and we don't have that many really large trees in Glendale, let alone the parks. So I'll just make that pitch, just because Verdugo Park, as previously mentioned by another commissioner, is an experience that you just don't get at any of the other parks in Glendale. And I
we
think
do
larger
share.
part is because of the open space and the trees combined.
Yeah, we do share your passion. And as to clarify, there is one that is a declining tree near the restroom that will be removed, and the other one will be where the ADA parking is going to be incorporated in. So one is already ill and a declining tree that will be removed regardless of this project, and the other one that might be impacted, we will definitely replace within the park by a couple of additional trees to make up for that one lot. So it looks like
Commissioner
one tree.
Wilkinson, go ahead, please.
If, are you done? Are you done, Commissioner
ma'am.
Patel? I wasn't sure. Okay, so.
I am done.
I
Yes.
thank you for bringing up the trees, because that's always a pet thing of mine. So you mentioned one of the trees that's going to be removed is in distress anyway and would have to be removed as it happens. Can you share with us what, because you know, it is hard, these mature trees, we can plant new trees, but they're young and they're not mature yet. But the trees that are being removed, the one that's, the one that's in distress that would have to be removed anyway, you know, that's the situation. But the one that we're removing for the ADA parking, what type of tree is it? If I may ask, do you know?
I know, Commissioner Wolfson, I know for a fact that it is not a protected tree. It is not a sycamore. I do believe it is a liquid amber, and Peter has just confirmed it is a liquid amber tree, not a protected tree, and personally not one of my favorite trees. But did I say that out loud? But then again, we will, whenever we replace within the park, it'll likely be consideration of either an oak tree and or a sycamore tree, given that the groves we have are sycamore and oak groves in that area. So we will replace it with a protected tree so that no one down the road will remove it.
Then I say full speed ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Meek, go ahead, please.
Yeah, is the meditation space next to the restroom space?
Commissioner Meek, it's hard to tell from the plans that we submitted. It will be at the location of the current playground, which is south of the restroom, but it's not literally next to it. There's some distance between the two. I don't have the measurements, the distance between them, but it'll be a path that goes to the restroom and a separate path that goes to the meditation maze from that area. And it is south of the restroom, close to it, but not adjacent.
And are we thinking of making the rebuilt restroom area more of a, to go in, to coordinate with the meditation space, making it more of a interesting building rather than just a square brick building?
Commissioner Meek, some of those designs, some of the finer construction drawings are still being finalized, or will be as we get direction. But it is going to be a nicer building than the current one that's there, because it's going to be a community room and a restroom building. So it's going to have a nicer design to go with kind of the setting of the area. So it will be an improved design that you're going to see in that area.
All right, thank you.
Okay, it's time to move this recommendation. When we're moving it, if you like to change anything to add, considering the neighborhood, considering the nature, considering the community, people that need outside parks, kids, they need playground, we can add on, I think. Go ahead, please. Someone to move it, please.
I'll move, go ahead.
Okay. How are you moving it?
I would say go ahead as planned, although I would really like them to consider making things more artistic.
Okay. Do you have anything to add, Wolfenson, on that?
Well, you know, the only thing I would say is, you know, it's going to go to council. Community will have a chance, hopefully, to weigh in. If people feel that the one playground in Verdugo Park is insufficient, I hope that people in the public are paying attention to what we're doing here today. And, or if not what we're doing today, hopefully they'll pay attention when it comes to council, and they'll make their voices heard if that's a problem for them. I'm relieved to know that there, because I wasn't sure that there was even another playground in the park, and there is, and it can accommodate the little ones as well as the slightly older kids. Hopefully, if that playground is of an age where it needs to be upgraded or replaced, then that's on the inventory of playground equipment for that process, so that it doesn't get shortchanged. But other than that, I think I'm on board with this.
I think Commissioner Patel is with you. I see her on her face. But let's put it in how you want it to be recommended, so they
Well,
can.
I do want to say one other thing about that. And again, this doesn't necessarily have to be agendized, but could we think about when we're replacing trees that it's a 1-to-1 rather than replacing one tree for taking out two? I'm just putting that in as my request. It doesn't have to.
As generally rule of thumb for us, we might replace 2 for 1, but never 1 for 2. So if we're removing one tree, we will likely replace it at least by 2, if not 1 for 1. So
Okay.
taken, that doesn't need to be agendized. That's my promise to you.
Okay, that's fine.
We will be holding you to that.
Okay, let me go to Miss Alexanian and see how she wants us to put this.
Actually,
Go ahead, please.
President Kalfai and members of the commission, if I may, there is already a motion on the table. So unless Commissioner Meek wants to rephrase it or withdraw it, we actually are waiting for a second.
I will second it.
Then I will take roll call. Commissioners Meek,
Aye.
Hotel,
Yes.
Sardarbegian,
Yes.
Wolfson,
Yes.
and President Kalfayan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next is item 6C, update on city-owned properties for park development. At 1 is a motion to note and file a report regarding city-owned properties for park development.
President Kalfan, if I may.
Go ahead, please.
So on the agenda, we have a presentation, and the young lady who is going to be making the presentation of our Eagle Scout project has logged on. I was going to ask Commission and you if it would be okay, because this item seems like it may have some discussion, whether we would hold off on this item, allow her to make a brief presentation to Commission, and then we can go back to the agenda.
This is interesting, very interesting, and it's very important for our future in this community to add more parks. We all love to add more parks if possible. We have to see be creative about it. Unfortunately, it's not there. We have to be creative. Let's think about it and come back with it for next time.
No, Commissioner, President Kalfayan, that wasn't the intent. It only meant to say, take Arabella's item first. The young lady was going to make a presentation.
Oh, I see.
Presentation, we can go back to schedule the agenda. Just move it up is what all I asked.
Okay. I misunderstood you, sorry. Okay, let's change it, yes.
Okay, in that case, we'll take item 7, reports information only at A, Arabella Ishkanyan's Eagle Scout project, and this is an oral report.
And I'd like to take this moment, President Kalfan and Commission, to introduce you to Arabella Ishkanyan. Arabella reached out to us as part of her Eagle Scouts, I believe, earning the badges, has to do community service, and had to come up with a project that benefits the community. Arabella reached out to us via Mr. Bulanikian's office, and we met with her and identified a project that herself and her scouts can take on. And I will pass the baton on to her. I just want to say it was a pleasure working with her as a very young professional. I was very impressed with her ability and her thoroughness, and I would hire her anytime because she is a very professional and very smart young lady. And I will turn the baton over to her so she can make her presentation.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Coco. So my name is Arabella Ishkanyan, as you already know. I'm 17 years old, and I'm a senior in high school this year. I'm a scout from Troop 127, but I also earned my Gold Award this year from Troop 636. I'm currently working towards earning the Eagle Scout rank in Troops 127. So today I'll be discussing my Eagle Scout project and how it impacted it for more women to take upon leadership roles in scouting. I want to be seen as someone who inspires young girls and boys that anything is possible with hard work and perseverance. So if you want to go on to the next slide, please. Thank you, perfect. So for my Eagle Scout service project, my team and I planted flowers and did landscaping around signs in 4 different park locations in the city of Glendale. The parks included Pelanconi Park, Glen Oaks Park, Upper Schwoll Canyon Athletics Field, and Lower Schwoll Canyon Park. So we cleaned, sanded, and painted 4 signs at all 4 parks and did additional landscaping around the Pelanconi Park sign. So my project is important to me because it helps people find their way around the parks. So signs provide useful information and help maintain the image of the parks. So we're modeling these signs to look more presentable and will allow more people to come and enjoy the parks. Completing my Eagle Scout project puts me one step closer to earning the Eagle Scout rank, and I am nearly finished and plan to participate in the Eagle Board of Review in October. So this was the Pelanconi Park, and where we sanded and did painting, and the before and after. Oh, this is the before, and the after is the next slide. And then you can move on to the next one, please. So this was the Glen Oaks Park, and you can see that what it looked like before and how we sanded and painted it, and also did wood putty. And this is it after, and my troop. Next slide, please. This was the Lower Schwoll Canyon Park, and this one had lots of termites, so we were able to kind of remove them and apply putty to the areas that needed extra support. And the after, and this was the after of that park sign. Next.
Oh, it's nice.
So, thank you. So this was the Upper Schwoll Canyon ball field, and this was the before. It was tinted, so we wanted to refurnish and repaint it, and the after looks like this. And so you can also see with our Eagle Scout troop. And then I would just want to say thank you to my family, troop members, and especially Coco, Armin, and Onik for making my Eagle Scout project happen. And I would like to thank everyone else who has helped me come this far and really pushed me to become a better woman. So thank you all for your time and support.
Thank you. Thank you. Good job. Next item, please.
Is Arabella still on?
She is.
Yes.
Thank you. President Kalfai and members of the commission, Arabella, I do like to thank you on behalf of the Community Services and Parks Department, and also on behalf of the commission for your volunteer work. The signs do look great, and we do wish you well in your Eagle Scout project. And if you need any recommendations, let us know for your October meeting with the Eagle Scout Council. We do really appreciate it. And I know Iris does have a signed certificate for you, and we will be mailing it to your address within the next couple of days. So I do appreciate it.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Those signs look beautiful. The after pictures were beautiful. Thank you so much.
They really do. And it's the entrance that people, it's the first impression that people have of the park, and it'll be fresh and new. So thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you so much. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Next item.
Okay, next, we'll go back to item 6C, update on city-owned properties for park development. And at 1 is a motion to note and file a report regarding city-owned properties for park development.
I'm sorry, I have to open it up.
Who's doing the presentation?
It's me, Commissioner, President Wolf, President Kalfai, members of the commission. It will be me. I'm just trying to locate the file, and it should be up and running. Can you see it?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, President Kalfai, members of the commission. First, I would like to apologize. This request was given to staff, I believe, back in January, February of this year. With COVID and different programs that we've implemented, we were pretty busy trying to figure out our programming and basically COVID-related items. So I do want to First, thank you for your patience on getting this report in. And I do have a brief presentation. And I also do have Ted Dombrowski, our parking manager from the Public Works Department, to answer any questions. But first, I'll go ahead and go with the presentation, show the presentation, and then we'll take it from there.
Excuse me, Mr. Bolinikian, if you could please share it as a slideshow presentation, start the slideshow.
How's this?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So back in 2015, LA County conducted a parks needs assessment countywide. They conducted a park needs assessment to gather more information for the Measure A park bond that was voter approved in 2016. The park needs assessment for South Glendale came up with the following numbers. So there are 23.9 park acres within the South Glendale study area, 0.3 park acres per 1,000 residents, and the county's average is 3.3 park acres per 1,000. There are 90% of the population in South Glendale live within half a mile of a park, and the county's average is 49% of the population living within half a mile of a park. So how much parkland is available to the residents in South Glendale? So here's the chart, and this park needs assessment can be found online also for our viewers that want to go and look at the park needs assessment. They covered the city in two areas, north area and south area. North area was considered above the 134 freeway, and the south area was below the 134. Here's some additional numbers, all in South Glendale. So we're 0.1 acres all the way to 7 acres per 1,000, depending on the facility in South Glendale. This chart shows where parks are needed the most. The red area is very high park needs. So we're basically South Glendale, right in the middle of the city, is where we need a park space. Any questions? No? Okay, I'm hearing some feedback. That's why I thought it was me. So the Parks Commission asked staff to look into city-owned parking lots in South Glendale. There are 8 parking lots ranging from 7,400 square feet to 39,000 square feet. The first lot is parking lot number 2, 20,375 square feet. This is the northwest corner of California and Maryland. This is the parking area where that is used by Carousel, Hot Wings Cafe, Panera Bread. Parking lot number 3 is little over 29,000 square feet. This is the southwest corner of California and Maryland. We have parking here for Goodwill. We did have a 24-hour fitness, but I believe that closed down. Pastries and a couple smaller restaurants in the downtown Glendale area. Parking lot 4 is across Maryland Avenue from the Alex Theater, 14,550 square feet. We have parking lot 6, a little over 39,000 square feet. This is the east side of Orange, right behind Porto's Bakery and Damon's. Parking lot 7 is a little over 7,000 square feet, southeast corner of Broadway and Louise. Parking lot 10 is west of Central Library and Central Park site. This is in between the not the Americana, the Shake Shack, Bevmo. There's also a nail salon area, Central Park Paseo, and in between that area and the Central Park park site. Parking lot 11, a little over 23,000 square feet. This is the west edge of the National Guard Armory. This parking lot is in between the Elks Lodge and the Armory site. And parking lot 15 is a little over 7,000 square feet north of Wilson and east of Warren Street. We do have a number of sites that are not in downtown Glendale or South Glendale called the freeway sites. We have Site A, Site B, Site C, and Site D. Site B has been developed into the sports complex, and Site D has been developed into Mayor's Park. And then we also have the Camino San Rafael site. Freeway Site A is 22.7 acres of undeveloped acres of open space. We do have 7 acres that's pretty much leveled, and we have proposed that in the past for development. We can fit a number of athletic fields there, let it be a soccer field, multi-use fields, baseball fields, even an aquatic center, a basketball gymnasium. And this is on top of Fern, east of the 2 freeway. We have Site C, 17.6 acres of undeveloped land. We can develop roughly around 10 to 12 acres. This open space is on top of Shearer Lane, east of the 2 freeway. And then we have the Camino San Rafael site, which is off of the 2 freeway. If you take Mountain all the way up the Camino San Rafael, there's about 78 acres of undeveloped land. We do have 2 acres up there that's pretty much leveled, and we can have a open space park. We even considered having a dog park in that area a few years ago. In conclusion, parking lots in downtown Glendale are heavily used. We do own several city-owned large open space properties along the Glendale freeway corridor, and we are continuing to seek available properties in South Glendale. There are 3 properties that we're working with community development. These are closed session items, but when we take them to closed session and council gives us direction, we will bring those properties to the Parks Commission for further discussion. I do have Tad on the call. He's our parking manager for further discussion on the parking lots in South Glendale. And if there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions from the commissioners? Yes, John.
Oh, sorry. I can't tell if
I think Susan went first. Go ahead, Susan.
I'm sorry. Did I jump in front of somebody? I'm sorry. I
No,
can't
go
tell. You know, my phone, I'm on the meeting on my phone, and I don't know if the screen is everyone having a blank screen right now, or is it,
Yeah.
oh, there we go. Okay, I'm back. Okay,
Mr.
good.
Belenik, if you can stop presenting, please.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right,
I'm
thank
sorry.
you so much.
I'm trying to figure this out. Stop sharing. Okay.
No, I think it's fine now. We see all the faces. I just was
stopped
scared
sharing
because
it.
I had to walk away from some noise outside of my house, and I wasn't sure if it was that my phone. Anyhow, first of all, I want to thank you for that presentation. I really appreciate it. I don't know, because I don't remember how this happened, that we were looking at parking lots specifically as potential sites for parks. And it may be that was how that developed out of our discussion in January. I think for myself, I always kind of wonder if maybe, you know, the city has some little, you know, treasure chest somewhere of something that we haven't thought about. But as was covered, I think, in your presentation, the parking is needed in downtown Glendale to support our business community. And unless we were able to convert these open lots to parking structures and then have green on top of the parking garage. That's the only way I can see where we could develop any kind of recreational space in these spots. Unfortunately, you know, we're kind of stuck with what's been done already. And short of that, or short of, I gather you may be in some negotiations, and I don't want to put a hex on that by saying anything stupid. So that's my only comments and questions. I did want to mention, I drive around a lot and see things, and I noticed this building over on Fairmont, and I sort of like Googled it, and I know the city owns it, and it's just been like it got somehow orphaned, or I don't know what, you know, it got isolated because of the flyover road construction, I believe. But things like that, you know, I know maybe that is not a practical space, that nothing maybe can be done there, but
Yeah, President Kalfai and members of the commission, Commissioner Wolfson, we did look at that site. It is doable. The issue there is we don't have enough parking. So the park user, if we develop a park there, the park user would need to walk at the location, ADA access, and also I believe that's closer to the Verdugo Wash. So we're hoping that the consultant, the Verdugo Wash consultant, can come up with draw up a plan and maybe incorporate that development of that park with the Verdugo Wash project.
yeah, and it's also not far from the Glendale Narrows Riverwalk, I
Yes.
believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are looking at that location also.
Any port in a storm, you know. So, but thank you.
Okay, next, Commissioner Patel.
Yes, I want to thank Community Services and Parks for putting together this report. This did come out of a request that I made back in February. As a result, at the time, of two concerns that I had. One was the desire for new athletic fields, being that at the time we were discussing artificial turf and the needs for artificial turf because we didn't have enough fields in order to facilitate the amount of use that they would need or that there's a demand for. And the argument was being made that, well, if we have artificial turf, then those fields can be used more regularly because of wear and tear won't be as great on the ground, and it wouldn't need to be shut for 3 months in order to revitalize the grass. But of course, artificial turf, as we've heard in previous discussions, comes with a lot of other concerns. Including urban heat effect and the chemicals that come off the fields into our sewers, and also the effects of the chemicals on the players and injuries and things like that. But that aside, the discussion was, well, how can we find a solution for more open space for fields so that we don't feel this need to demand for artificial turf? The second and very dire need is for park space in South Glendale. According to the Los Angeles County Comprehensive Parks and Recreation Needs Assessment that you all presented at the beginning of your presentation, the ideal urban plan has park space within a 10-minute walk of any residency. Not only is South Glendale densely occupied, but I would venture to say that over half of the residences in South Glendale are apartments, condos, and ADUs that do not have yard space. This study clearly indicates that South Glendale is very park poor. And this study was done in 2015, if I'm correct. And that's before the multiple condo units were built along Central, Brand, and other locations in downtown Glendale, increasing the dense population without yard space. So those numbers aren't even up to date, right? Because they haven't done another one since then. So these open lands around the 2 freeway are nice, and I think they should be considered for further development for soccer fields and other athletic fields. But the mountainous areas do not meet the needs of the population in the downtown area. The focus of this agenda item should not only be centered on the area around the 2 freeway, and should not come at an expense of the high need for the urban area. People in the downtown area are more likely to not have a car. They're more likely to rely on public transit, and they're more likely to be on foot. There is no public transportation to get to the mountainous locations. We need to find properties that people can get to without a car. So I think that, I think we all know that. I may be a bit redundant in making that point, but I want to get across today that whatever we determine at the end of this meeting today, I think it's really important to remember there is an urgency. We've been in a pandemic for the last year and a half. We're not out of that pandemic yet. As we know, things are constantly evolving around this pandemic. It might feel like things are relieving and then they get more intense again. But the people who in this city that don't get to have access to open park space near them, let alone a yard, this has been hard times. And I can speak personally to that. So yeah, I think, these parking lots that we have, clearly I'm not on the Parking and Transportation Commission, but I do want to say that these lots are all very close to each other for the most part, with the exception of lot 11. And I wonder if these lots, we have some garages that the city owns, correct?
Yes, we have some parking garages the city owns.
Right. So I wonder, are all of these parking lots needed, especially since they're so close together? Is there a vision to perhaps develop another parking structure and then maybe alleviating the need for all of these parking lots? The other thing I just want to identify is that these parking lots are for people who live outside Glendale and not necessarily, or at least outside of downtown Glendale, and not necessarily for the people who live in downtown Glendale or in South Glendale, who can walk to the shops and the stores and whatnot. And so I just wanted to make that point that, there may be ways to address parking concerns and needs, and at the same time address park need in South Glendale. And so I think that's an important thing to keep in mind when we're looking at these lots, that maybe it's not the parks, the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission's place to determine the financial and parking needs of the city. But I do think that there may be ways to address the needs of parking in a way which still facilitates or gives room for one of these lots to be given as a park. One other thing to consider is that what other avenues do we have? Well, as Commissioner Wolfson just mentioned, acquiring space that becomes available, right? That when we see a property that is for sale or may not be upkept and there might be an opportunity for the city to purchase something. I want to point out that the cost of land in Glendale particularly has skyrocketed. And we're going to need a considerable amount of money in order to purchase more land. And whether or not that there are 3 park spaces currently being developed in Glendale that we don't currently have the info on, it sounds like there's some plans. These are intentions and they're not fully realized yet, A. And B, the second thing to keep in mind is that we're going to need a lot of park spaces in order to be less park deficient. I mean, 0.3 acres versus 3.3 acres, that's really deficient. So I think we have to think more revolutionary. I think we need to think about ways in which, how can we at least, consider today starting one project or considering one project. So that being said, I'd like to learn a little bit more about Lot 11. Lot 11 is 0.54 acres. Is that correct?
Yes, 0.54
Okay.
acres.
And that's currently being used as a lot to rent to car dealerships, not necessarily a parking lot for businesses to facilitate customers. Is that correct?
Yes, correct me if I'm wrong, Tad, but I believe, yes, we rent it out to the car dealerships for additional storage.
But may I ask a question? Because I would have mentioned Lot 11 because I noticed that too, but there was something in the staff report about contract with, am I wrong? Because if I'm,
It's the contract with the armory, but Lot 11 is not part of the armory. So if we were to cancel the contract with the armory, per the contract, we would need to find them a similar location, and the city would need to pay for the relocation costs.
But that is separate from Lot 11. Am I correct?
Yes, that's separate from Lot 11.
it is separate from Lot 11 because the agenda, the staff report, I read it and it seemed like you were saying that Lot 11 was not available because of that contract. But now I'm hearing it's not Lot 11 that's under the contract, and even if it is under the contract, so in a sense, we could, for the cost of relocating them, we could take this big piece of property and make a park. Is that right? Is that what I'm hearing?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so that's a clear. I must have misread this.
We would need to.
I'm sorry.
We would need to get back to the commission on that.
Okay, because that would be a great thing.
So the armory is 2.2 acres, and that is separate from the 0.54 acreage right next to it that is currently being rented as a parking lot to car dealerships. Do I have that correct?
Good afternoon, President Kalfayan and commission members. This is Tad Dombrowski. I'm the city's parking manager. Commissioner Patel, what it is, the 2.2 acres, I believe, includes the entire site, and the 0.54 acres is the strip that is between Colorado and Elk that is currently being rented by the dealerships. That came about several years ago when our parking garages pre-pandemic were full and we did not have the space for the dealerships, and they were full in South Brand, and this seemed like a good compromise to use a lot that was underutilized at the time to rent it on a month-to-month basis, short term, and find a happy compromise for the needs of the time. It's continued since then because there hasn't been an adequate outcry for public parking in this area to date.
Right. Thank you for that. So I think that goes to my point, which is that this particular lot does not serve the city's businesses right? And I shouldn't say that, right? It serves as a space for inventory for vehicles for the car dealerships, but it doesn't. It's not a customer based or I guess I'm just not finding the right words for it, but it's basically being used as an open lot for inventory, not necessarily for access for the public.
That is correct.
Okay, so interesting enough, we're in strange and unusual times. And one of the things that I've come across recently, I've heard this on NPR, and I've also read about it in Car and Driver and Reuters, that because of what's happening with the pandemic, it's really changing the car industry. One of the things that's happening right now is that people are getting more used to build to order. That's not been something that's been very common, or the more common way of buying a vehicle is like, I'm going to go buy a car and I'm going to go look at a lot and I'm going to buy a car that day. But with the back orders of vehicles that are happening right now, people aren't necessarily able to do that as easily. And some of the car manufacturers are beginning to consider doing build to order rather than, like Ford now has announced they're going to be doing build to order rather than making massive amounts of cars and having backup fleets that then need to be as inventory for the lots. So I guess I don't want to say that maybe all college car dealerships are doing this, but it looks like because of COVID, people are beginning to shop differently for vehicles. This may be something that continues, and there's some projections that it may do that. And I wonder if this lot that we're talking about, lot 11, couldn't better serve the community if it were a park space rather than a place to rent out to car dealerships. 0.54 acres isn't a huge park, but it would be a start of something. And as I mentioned prior, we need multiple spaces in order to get further up to that 3.3 acres that is the average of the county. So I wonder if this is a possible solution or a recommendation that we might want to consider recommending to City Council, looking into the possibility of possibly converting this specific space.
Okay. Mr. Boronikian, you have anything to say?
I mean, I don't have anything to add, unless Tad wants to add anything in regards to the parking lot. What we would need is a motion, I believe, right?
Well, let me go to the commissioner.
Excuse me, President Kalfai, yes, I would like to add something real quick, just to, for consideration, and I don't know where this will go beyond here, but one of the things we don't know right now, there are several pieces that we would have to look at any of these parking lots further in. Specifically for lot 11, we have a certain amount, there's obviously some potential changes across the street, be it the Armenian American Museum that's being developed currently, the changing of the Central Park and all of those dynamics. So there's some of that we don't know how that will change the parking demand. I do know there's about 50 to 60 spaces, and I'm just off memory, that are being eliminated from the property just across the street on Colorado that were for parking before and will now be part of the new Central Park. So being that this lot has about 66 spaces, when those kinds of things were tossed around and we had the huge parking study that was done a couple years ago, those were considerations that we were taking in where, yes, we would be able to include removing them here because we have them here if we need them. So there's some of that needs to at least be considered in this, as well as obviously the revenue source, because this is generating revenue currently. So that has to be factored in at some level. I don't know how Onig, you would be packaging this and taking it beyond here. I just wanted to throw out a couple of those right now that we obviously don't know have the answers on today for you, but would have to be part of whatever plan for the future.
Commissioner Mick, if you have any comments, please.
I had to unmute myself, sorry. The properties that the city owns near the 2 freeway, would the city be able to exchange some of that land for other land that's privately held?
I would probably say no, because the privately held land would probably want to develop, let it be homes, multi-unit construction. So I don't know if the developer would want to use that space and develop residential units, take away open space away from the public.
Well, I'm not saying like, say somebody owns a building or that has a parking lot next to it. If the city could exchange lands elsewhere for that building and parking lot, we could potentially get that downtown in the downtown specific area for people. I wasn't specifically speaking of an open space, but we would give open space for other land.
Yeah, that would be a question that we need to ask community development and see if there are any city-owned, our community development directors or asset manager. So we'll go up to, ask him if there would be any businesses interested in a land swap, basically.
Right. And okay, that pretty much, it seems like you're going to need to work with the Public Works, the Transportation, the Parking Department, and the Downtown Merchants Association for anything that we do downtown. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it is going to require some cooperation.
Cooperation, community meetings, number of community meetings we would need.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioners Gabekyan.
Yeah, I mean, although the need for green space, specifically parks within the downtown LA Glendale area is very, very important. I mean, we really obviously cannot just ignore the fact that there is no space, and I think the only real option is what Commissioner Wolfson had recommended, to have a multi-story parking structure with a rooftop green space. Or I remember a couple of years ago, the city had kind of had talks about having green space over the 134 freeway, something like that. But outside of that, anything else, I think, we always have to kind of balance both sides, understand obviously the importance of, providing play area and space for kids as well as adults, because the mental positive effects they have on, the adults is very important. But at the same time, parking in Glendale, in downtown Glendale, is absolutely horrific at all times. So to take away any of those parking spaces would just be a disaster, not only for the businesses, but just, people that come and use it every day. So I think that it's a very, very difficult task to try to find space, especially given the fact that property in Glendale, the price is it seems like it just quadruples every few years. So I think the space off the 2 freeway is amazing. It's great. It's just, if our goal is to specifically look at the downtown Glendale area, it's going to be somewhat difficult to kind of use something up there if we're looking at the 10-minute walk mark as a measuring tool. So outside of that, I think the south part of Glendale, I mean, right where the Brand Boulevard of Cars ends, I believe there's a small park right there, right on the corner of San Fernando and Brand.
Cerritos.
So little, I know there's one there. I believe there's one between Pacific and Kenilworth on south of Glen Oaks. What was the name of that?
Casa Adobe?
Yeah, the little one, right off of kind of like Kenilworth after the 134 tunnel. As you go down, it's a small park. I think smaller parks like that, as far as pure land, it's 8 to 10,000 square feet of space. I think something like that might be a little bit more doable than to have a very, very large park, because in downtown there is really no space.
Commissioner, President Kalfai, members of the commission, as part of the presentation, I wanted to include the city-owned lands, open space, just so the commission can get a picture of what we own and what can be developed. Our goal, and I know staff's goal, is to find property in South Glendale to expand our assets in South Glendale. We're very, very aware that South Glendale is park poor. I shouldn't say it that way. There's a very high need for park and open space in South Glendale. But for the report, I wanted to include all of the open spaces that we own, just so commission can get a picture of what can be developed in the future. But as far as South Glendale, like I mentioned, we are working with community development. We do have a property management company looking for properties to purchase and develop. And in terms of parking lot number 11, we would leave it up to commission. But you did hear from Tad, our parking manager, in terms of revenue and the Central Park being built. We might need more parking when that facility is built and so on. So we need to take all that into consideration.
Can I address some of those points? Because I hear you. I hear the need for potential parking for the museum. Isn't there a parking structure right around the corner, Marketplace?
On Harvard.
Right, like all of maybe a minute or two walk from where the museum would be?
Good afternoon, President Kalfai and commissioners. Commissioner Patel, yes, north 1 block, just above where the library is. I think that would be the closest perspective for this.
You'd have to, go ahead.
Is a parking structure that would ideally handle any overflow parking.
Can I ask a question? Excuse me. Two questions that are pertinent to this, I think. One is, in the plans for the museum, I was under the impression that they were planning to have parking. Is that not true anymore?
Yeah, it's true. They're developing that already.
Correct. So they're going to have a parking area underneath the museum.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
because I know in the previous plan for the museum, there was a subterranean parking was planned for the museum.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the previous site, and I shouldn't get into this, but the previous site would have been a superior site, in my opinion, because it wouldn't have deprived our downtown area of any open space. But that's the past is past, and I can't change it now. But in this, as far as Lot 11 goes, I shouldn't think that they're going to be desperate for Lot 11 for the Armenian Museum.
Yeah, it's not for Armenian Museum, but as a businessman, the business development department of the city has all different kind of plans. We are not the development. We have to see where we are, where we can do. But I don't think this downtown Glendale, they're going to let us put a flat building, a flat soccer field or anything.
Well, I don't think that, I think that the idea here would be to create, because it's not very large. So you really would only have room in that lot for a mini park, I believe.
You might have a different plan that we're not aware of it.
Well, I'm asking a question of staff. isn't that lot is of a size that would only be appropriate for a mini park, right?
Actually, President Kalfai, members of the commission, that'll be bigger than our mini parks. You're looking at over half an acre.
Okay.
So it'll be a nice size park.
I have a question for Ms. Alexanian. This motion to note and file a report regarding the city-owned properties, what do we mean by that?
President Kalfai, members of the commission, the report is information only, so the commission would essentially be taking note of the report and filing it, that you have received the report. The report itself is not necessarily asking for specific direction. So the report itself was more informational because I believe the request was to get more information about what is available and parking lots available in Glendale. So as presented, it is basically just informational for you to note and file that you received the report and are aware of those opportunities at this point.
You want us to move it that we got the report?
I'm not ready to move yet. I have some other
I have a
questions.
question to her. Do we have to move this to have it as a information that the city owns these lots? That's what we're approving?
So the report is asking the commission, right? So the report was presented to the commission as information, and the motion is to note and file. So you as a commission are basically are accepting the report and filing it, that you received the information. It is not requesting any direction from commission. It is not necessarily asking for direction. Not to say that the commission can't have a discussion like you are doing, but the report as presented is not necessarily looking for direction to move forward or do anything different, as it was our staff's understanding that you as a body were looking for information to just be aware of what is available and out there. So that's all the report is.
So may I say something? I think it's fine if we want to move and approve that we received the report, but I do feel that there's some sentiment on the commission that we would also like to request that staff investigate the feasibility of taking lot 11 and maybe creating a park there. And at that point, all of these other issues could be addressed. The revenue that's received from that property, the implications for our Chamber of Commerce and other stakeholders that may have an interest in what happens there and so forth.
Okay, we can do that. I mean, we're free to say anything. Let's do it. Let's move it and get over with it.
I would just like to say two more things about this. The lot 11 is next to the armory. The armory is, what is it, another 2 acres or so, or a little less. That lease will be up in 2049. I know that seems like it's a while from now, but it abuts the parking lot 11. And if we were to develop a park at lot 11, that potentially could open up to a 2.2 acre park in the middle of downtown, which would be significant.
Okay, and second point, please.
The second point, thank you. The marketplace parking lot, if we're considering the need for overflow in a parking lot for parking for the museum, the marketplace parking lot literally, as Tad pointed out, is across the street from the library. You walk through the lot of the library to hit Central Park, which is where the museum will be. That will literally take you 1 minute to get to the museum from the marketplace parking lot. So if there is a need for overflow, I believe that garage could probably facilitate that. I don't see that taking away parking lot 11 will be a huge disadvantage to businesses, because right now it's not really serving the public businesses beyond the dealerships. And certainly we can explore how much revenue is received through parking lot 11 from the car dealerships, but that may not be the best use of that land for the people who live in Glendale. And there may be other ways to collect that revenue, such as, and again, I am not on parking and transportation, but for instance, right now our garages are for the first hour and a half free. If we needed to make up the difference for that cost, perhaps there would be another way to collect on revenue in the parking lots without allowing for an hour and a half of free parking initially. And I'm not saying I want to take away people's ability to park per se, but what I'm saying is that there may be other ways to figure out how to generate that revenue.
Okay, thank you. I need to move this if possible. Someone can move it, please? The
I
motion.
will move to file and accept the report.
Okay. Second,
I'll second it.
okay. Iris,
Sure. Commissioners Meek,
Approved.
Patel,
My hope today was to make a recommendation as to further explore the possibility of,
That comes
when-
after this.
oh,
sorry.
that comes after this. Okay, then yes. Thank you.
thank you. Commissioner Sardarbegian,
Approved, yes.
Wolfson,
Yes.
and President Kalfayan.
Yes, thank you.
Motion carries.
Mr. Panosian, can we skip your presentation since we have them on paper?
Yes, President Kalfai, members of the commission, that was what we would recommend it anyway. I know there's a couple of other ones under information, but the commission does have the report, and if there are any other questions, we can always answer them for you.
Maybe you can come back for the September report.
Well, I'll be here next month, so you can
Okay.
always touch back on it.
Thank you for joining us. Very interesting meeting.
President Kalfayan,
One second, please. Yeah, go ahead, Ms.
President Kalfayan, members of the commission, I believe Commissioner Patel had a recommendation. So
Yeah.
is that gonna go in?
Before we adjourn. Yeah.
Can we, I'm sorry, One, can Iris read the other two items into the record and we'll just move forward if there are no questions? There won't be presentations, but we'd still like to read the other two items into the record. If that's okay
Go ahead, yeah.
as well.
Sure. Item 7B was Recreation and Community Services Section Monthly Activity Report for September 2021. And 7C was Park Services Section Monthly Activity Report for July 2021. And President Kalfai and members of the commission, if I may, just to provide you with some information in terms of how to go about maybe making requests to staff. Generally, it would be either a commissioner presenting a request for a report or for some sort of study, and it would require a second from a fellow commissioner, or if it comes from the president of the commission, no second is required. So just to clarify that for the commission.
Thanks.
So I can make a recommendation or a motion to make a recommendation to explore the fiscal.
Okay.
Or
Can
yeah,
I
Susan. Yes, please.
You can second it? Would that work for you? Okay, I would like to request that staff bring a report back to our commission about the feasibility of converting lot 11 to a park space. And that study or that report will include fiscal issues, all of the necessary areas that we need to consider.
Is
Is
there
that
a second?
acceptable?
Does somebody want to second it? I can't hear her.
She's on mute.
I'll second.
Did she leave?
She might be on mute.
Yeah, and she's on.
Oh, sorry. I kept saying I second it. I second it. I was on mute, but Stephen Meeks took care of it. Commissioner Meeks, thank you so much.
President, thank you. President Kalfai, members of the commission, we will bring back a report. Please give us time. We do have other pressing items for the next couple months. So we hope to get something within the next 3-4 meetings to you.
Thank you.
We would appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is it. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.